And you know why we do all of this? Because that's the real question. Why do we make mistakes? Why do we do the wrong things? It's not because we don't have the right information. It's not because we don't know what to do. It's because of the way we're using our brain.
83% of Americans identify as not very happy, which can hold you back and negatively affect your relationships and your business. On this podcast, we discuss the proven steps to happiness so you can restore balance and rekindle your joy.
Welcome to another episode of How to Be Happier for Entrepreneurs. I am personally super excited about this podcast because our guest was a yachter for many years and is getting ready to do it again. He is coming to us from a motorhome in the south of France via a Starlink satellite. So pretty cool. Liam, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Brad. Really excited to be here.
So I know a little bit about your journey, and it's quite remarkable, from a multi-millionaire to being homeless, losing it all, and then rediscovering success. Can you share this experience and then tell us what led you to uncover the secret of using your brain correctly for achieving true success?
Yeah, for sure. Well, like you probably, and probably most of the people listening or watching, from the earliest age, I always wanted to be a success. I wanted to have a great life. I didn't want to just settle for an average life, just go out and get a job and have every year being the same as the last one. I wanted to be rich. I wanted to be free. I wanted to travel the world and do exciting things. And so I got into my own business at a fairly early age after university. And I really worked hard to be as successful as I could. And I was successful. As you said, I became a multi-millionaire eventually by the time in my 30s. I made my first million by the time I was in my early 30s. So I was really successful, I felt. And at the same time as I was doing business and really working hard and setting my goals and really, being motivated, I was also studying success. So I was going to all sorts of seminars, with all of the self-help gurus, and I was reading all the books, all the well-known books, and I was studying all these different methods for things like what to do with motivation and self-help, like goal setting and working with your subconscious mind, changing your beliefs, finding motivational ways to motivate yourself, as it were, and also spiritual things like meditation and the law of attraction and all these things we've heard about. I was studying all of this, as you said at the beginning, I did become, on the outside, really successful. But I remember this particular day quite a few years later than in my 20s. It was in my 40s actually, which wasn't that long ago. And I remember I had just put the finishing touches onto my dream home. I just finished, it wasn't quite finished, but it was almost finished being built. And we were living in it. And I had a music room attached to it because I'd been a musician in my university days. And I always had this dream of having my own magnificent house with my own music room. And I remember going into the music room one particular day. And there I was, wonderful house, my dream house. And I thought to myself, I've done it. I've reached my dream. This is my dream life. This is everything I said I ever wanted. I wanted a great home with a music room. I wanted multiple businesses, and I had 2 businesses at the time that were operating for me. I want money. I want freedom. Why am I not happy? Why am I so miserable? Because I wasn't just not happy. I was completely stressed, completely unhappy, almost tearing my hair out with the mental and emotional pain I was going through. And I had all sorts of problems in my life, financial issues with trying to get the house finished, and staff issues in my businesses, and relationship issues in my marriage. And I thought, this is crazy. I've actually achieved everything I thought I wanted, but I'm not happy. I'm actually completely miserable. And I don't know what to do. I mean, do I carry on like this? This just seems a waste of time. And I remember saying to myself, whether a voice said to me, or I don't know, but it's this voice or I said, maybe it'd be worth just getting rid of all of this, throwing it all away and starting again from scratch. Because maybe I'd be better off doing that than losing my soul. And in fact, I would rather give up everything I've got if it meant I didn't lose my soul, because that's what it really felt like. And I'm sure people can relate to this. You know, you're working so hard, but you've still got all these problems and you achieve things, great things. And you say to yourself, is this all there is? This isn't giving me what I really thought I was going to get. It's not giving me the feeling of success. I'm not being happy, in other words. So I said, maybe I would rather get rid of all of this than lose my soul. Well, as you know, you have to be careful what you think, because it literally was within weeks, that I did lose everything. Everything collapsed. My businesses went, the home with the music room went, my marriage went.
How? Like,
It's not that difficult. When you've spent, and we can talk about the real reason why we sabotage ourselves,
mhm.
because that's what I'd been doing for years. And on the surface of what sabotage means is you make bad decisions, and maybe not one or two, or sometimes just one or two. There have been plenty of cases where people have spent a lifetime building something and then they make the wrong investment or they do something wrong and it all collapses. For me, it was a bit more gradual and therefore a bit more painful. Over a period of time, I just made bad decisions for relationships, for my businesses, for my lifestyle, and all of these bad decisions, they all sort of caught up on me at the same time, and it all fell apart. And we can certainly talk about what causes you to make the wrong decisions, because that's a key thing that I learned. Because we make wrong decisions and we go, why did I do that? I don't know why I did that. That was a stupid thing to do. We say the wrong thing to people and create an argument or make things worse, or we do things wrong. We all have this experience.
So,
But
so,
it all,
so, Liam, between 2005 and 2017, I made 5 mistakes that cost me and my partner $9 million. And
right.
looking back, they were all based on trying to prove my worthiness. So I get it. I want to dig a little bit in because I think the listeners are going to be really interested in this. How can a guy that has so much financial success so quickly turn upside down? I'm guessing, and you tell me if I'm wrong, that you had cash flow issues and that you had bills to pay, and then all of a sudden you couldn't pay the bills, and then people came after you, and maybe there was lawsuits, and then your house, you couldn't make the payment in the house. Like, what exactly actually happened from I'm doing okay financially to I've got nothing and I'm homeless?
Yeah, all of those things. And I think what we tend to do, and what I tried to do, was you try and patch up the holes. So when cracks start to appear in your business or in your relationship, my marriage, for instance, you try and fix things all the time, and you're forever, trying to fix that hole and plug that hole, fix that crack, and ultimately, when you're spending all your time trying to juggle everything and holding everything together because of some bad decisions you've made, which if you'd never made them in the first place, you wouldn't have the problem to deal with. And for me, it was things like making wrong business decisions, opening or creating or building new parts of the business that were never going to work.
Me too. Me too. Because you need more, 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 right? Because if you don't feel enough, you got to keep getting more.
And you know why we do all of this? Because that's the real question. Why do we make mistakes? Why do we do the wrong things? It's not because we don't have the right information. It's not because we don't know what to do. It's because of the way we're using our brain. Because when you use your brain in a particular way, you are guaranteed to sabotage yourself. And I didn't know anything about this at the time, but I learned about it, and this is really the basis of what I teach now. So if you want to succeed in life, and if you really want to create a life where you don't have problems and stress, which, by the way, you're designed to live without problems and stress, then you need to work out how to use this machine, your brain, the right way, so that you don't fall into the trap of making mistakes that you regret. Because it's not that you, as I say, you don't want to make those mistakes, but you do. And we don't understand what causes us to do it. It's our brain directing our behavior.
So I want to get to that, but okay. So now you've lost it all. Your house has been taken from you. What's the next step? What do you do?
Well, I moved in with my elderly mother and lived in the living room of her small apartment and slept on the sofa. That was the only place I could go. And she lived a long way from where I was living, so I had to move back into a town where I didn't know anybody. I had nothing. I had a few clothes on my back to start with. So, and you know what? The turning point in this experience was being confronted every night because you probably know what it's like. It's not losing everything, just isn't about losing your things. It's about losing your identity. It's about everything you've worked for in your life is all gone. It's like, who are you? What is life? What's the point? And every night when I was trying to get to sleep on this very uncomfortable sofa, I kept saying to myself, why has this happened to me? I'm a good person. I've tried all my life to learn how to be a successful person. I've got all my goals. I've got all my visualization boards and plans, and I know how to change my beliefs and be a positive thinker and practice the law of attraction and all of these things. I know how to meditate. I know how to do all the spiritual practices. But it's never been on my plans or my goals list to lose everything. Why has this happened to me? And the second question I asked myself was, so what do I do now? Everything I've tried before obviously hasn't worked. And I have, apart from that, I have literally no clue what to do. I don't know anybody. I've got no resources. What can I do? And you know what the answer to both those questions was? The most powerful answer you can ever ask. And that is, they were the same answer. And that was, I don't know. I have to be honest with myself and say, I don't know why this has happened to me, and I don't know what to do now. And I did something then that I would never have done if I'd been in any other situation. So this is where the gift of hitting rock bottom really kicks in. Because what I did without realizing, I switched my brain state. And we can explain what that means biologically. But I went from trying to force things to happen to literally letting go and giving up. And I just said, I don't care what happens anymore. I'm too exhausted. I'm not going to go looking for opportunities. I'm not going to try and figure this stuff out. I don't care. I can just lie on this couch for the rest of my life for all I care.
Wow.
And that was the turning point, because after that, everything changed. And what changed was a new relationship came along. And when I say it came along, it came along. I didn't chase after it. Then a new business came along, and I set up a new business and was making really good money again when I had no money to start a business. And, it's just, how did it happen? And then another business showed up. And then before I knew it, I was traveling with my partner. We spent 18 months traveling around New Zealand in a new motorhome that we imported from overseas. Then we went to Europe, and then we spent 8 years sailing our own yachts, plural, around Europe for 8 years, which we finished last year, and we're starting again next year. And I remember one other experience, which was a profound moment, and it was, we're in the Greek islands, in a little bay on our yacht. And just imagine this, you're on your own yacht in the Greek islands in a bay where there are no other boats around, and you get up in the morning and the sun is shining. It's a beautiful day, totally quiet, and you just fall off the back, have a nice swim, and you get out and you look at your email, and your two businesses are working for you, making you money, doing really well, with no problems, nothing to worry about. And I remember thinking at this moment, this is what I've been looking for all my life, is the feeling, yes, I have made it. I haven't just made it on the outside. I'm not just doing things that I love to do, but I actually have that feeling that I am being who I'm supposed to be. I'm living in harmony with myself. I'm not being drained by stress and problems. And I thought, but this is really weird. How can this have happened? Because how come my old life, I was so motivated. I set my goals. I worked so hard, everything I could do I'd learn new things. I'd read constantly, trying to learn more information about how to get more out of life. How come when I did all that, everything fell apart and I was never happy anyway? And now everything's great and I'm not setting any goals. I'm not looking for anything. I'm not looking for opportunities. All these things are coming to me. It's like things are falling into place as dominoes. And I thought, I need to figure this stuff out. If I had one problem, it was I didn't know why it was happening. I didn't know what I was doing differently. Maybe it was all luck. But too many things were happening all the time that constantly, that it wasn't luck, it was something else. So I said, I need to figure out what I'm doing differently, because I don't want to stop doing it. I don't want to mess things up like I did last time. I don't want to sabotage myself. And really, it took me down a whole new path of understanding about who we are, what creates the results we get in our life, which is very different from what we think. We're busy out there trying to create results, but I think it was John Lennon who said, life's what happens when you're busy making other plans. So what I discovered is there's a completely different way of looking at our life that is actually natural. And it's actually the way life works. And really, when I started to understand this, and I could see what I was doing in my own life, so I carried on doing it. And then I started showing other people this as well, and seeing other people make changes. And that's what I do now, is really just help people understand what is a new way to approach real success, which is, as you so well put it so well, it's being happy.
Yeah, happiness brings money, not money doesn't bring happiness. Before we get to actually what it was you figured out and what you're teaching other people, what were the two businesses that you started that now have catapulted you again to financial success?
Well, one was an importing and distribution company for a physical product. It was actually pet food. And so this was operating in New Zealand
What kind of
without me.
food?
Dog, pets, dogs,
Okay.
cats, dogs and cats.
Oh, pet food.
And that
Gotcha.
was operating very well without me in New Zealand while I was in swanning around in a yacht. And the other one was my coaching business. And I started out with marriage and relationship coaching. And that's still a very big part of what I do, is helping people who've got problems in their relationships. Because I thought at the time when I set up the business, I'm no good at relationships. So I'm going to figure out how to be really good at them. Then I'm going to get a great relationship myself, and then I'm going to teach other people about
Wow.
all the mistakes that I made so that they don't make the same mistakes. So that's still a big part of what I do, is marriage and relationship coaching. And I have online coaching programs as well as some personal coaching. And I've written several books and a podcast and all those things. So they were the two primary businesses. And I had a few other interests on the side, but that's fundamentally where.
So amazing about your business success. What did you learn that has uncovered this profound shift that led you to true success and that you're now teaching your clients?
Well, what I learned was the most obvious thing in the world that we've all ignored or forgotten. And that is the overriding thing that determines everything that happens in your life is the way nature works. Because I'll give you an example. You can stand on top of a 10-story building and convince yourself that you're going to walk off and fly into the air. And you can meditate, you can pray, you can change your subconscious mind, work on your beliefs, be really motivated, determined, apply all of these mental practices. But the second you walk off, you're going to go down. The law of nature, which in this case is the law of gravity, is going to take over. It doesn't care what you think. You are governed by the laws of nature. Look at trying to stop breathing, trying to stop your heart beating, trying to stop anything natural happen. You can't do it. So we've forgotten this. We've never been taught this, that nature rules everything. And nature has rules about success, about what we're here to do. And if you'd ask any biological scientist, what is the primary purpose of every living thing? What's every living thing wired and designed to do? Above all else, they would tell you everything is wired and designed to survive. That is the primary function of every living thing. And what that really means is, and because we're the same, we're natural, we're in the natural world, we're biologically wired and designed primarily to survive. But what that really means is we're not just designed to keep breathing. We're designed to thrive. We're designed to be the best that we can be. Every living thing is designed to be the best that it can be so that it has the greatest chance for survival. When something is strong, healthy, well adjusted, and for us as humans, when we're inspired, motivated, happy, creative, grateful, all of those things, we're so much more productive, and we do the right things and we produce the right things that give us the greatest chance for survival. So we're literally wired and designed to be the best that we can be, physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, which means being happy. That's our biological purpose. And nature has actually provided something for every living thing to ensure that it reaches the state, which science also has a word for, homeostasis, means optimum functioning of the organism. So we're wired to achieve that through the use of a mechanism called our brain. Every living thing is wired and designed to be the best that it can be so that it thrives to live its biological purpose for surviving for as long and as well as it can. And we're the same, and like every other living thing, nature has provided a mechanism for that to happen. It's not a random thing. And that mechanism is the brain. So a brain is literally a machine. I call it a machine because it has one job to do, and it does it in a very predictable way as long as a certain condition is met. But if a brain is used in the right way, it'll do its job, which is to ensure that that organism survives for the longest possible by being the best that it can be. So I'd never thought about this from a biological perspective. But the logical question becomes then, well, why aren't we the best that we can be? And, I'm constantly in nature, being on boats and motorhomes and traveling. And you really observe nature, you see how perfect it is. And you see that it thrives, it is in a state of thriving. Animals, insects, birds, whatever it is, they're not struggling to succeed and to thrive. They are literally just thriving. That's the way the natural world exists. But the only exception is humans. We don't thrive, not most of us. And you have to ask yourself, why not? Why are we different to the rest of nature? Why are we not fulfilling the same biological purpose, even though it is our purpose? Why are we not? Why have we all got problems and stress and things not going well? And there can only be one reason. For some reason, and I know what the reason is, we're not using this machine the right way. We're not allowing it to do its job of getting us from where we are to being in the state of thriving. And if you think about any other machine, if you think, for instance, like a motor car, you'd say, what is a motor car for? It's only designed to do one thing. That's to get you from where you are to where you want to go. And it's going to be predictable. It's going to do the job. It's going to be an enjoyable ride for you. There's only one reason it wouldn't do that job: if it's not being driven the right way. If you get in there and you don't know how to drive a car and you've got all these buttons and levers and things, what do? You're going to make a mess of it. You're not going to get anywhere, or it's going to be difficult. And then you're going to start to see problems showing up, struggles, and things going wrong with the car itself. Now, you don't blame the car if things don't work out the way they should. You blame yourself and saying, well, I'm not driving it right. The brain is literally a biological machine. I'm not talking here about some esoteric idea. This is biology. The brain is literally a biological machine that'll do that job perfectly for you. And I proved that to myself when I went from a life of struggle and trying to figure all this stuff out and living with stress and doing all the wrong things to where things were effort but not struggle, and good things kept happening. And we might call them coincidences or luck, but there were just too many things happening for it to be like that. This is a biological principle. And there are several other biological laws that tie in with this as well. So that's what I've forgotten about or didn't know about.
How do we do this, Liam? Like I know you talk about the 4 parts of the brain and understanding their function can dramatically improve our lives. Like, talk about, give us concrete, like, what can we do to change our lives?
Well, it's to recognize you have 2 brain states. There's 4 parts to your brain, but 2 brain states. The most important one is your creative state. Now, the creative state is that state of mind, if you like, that you're in when you do all the right things to make all of the right things happen in your life. So the qualities or the characteristics of this part of your brain are what I call your creative brain. And this is a physical thing in your brain. It's not it's not the subconscious or anything left brain. This is a physical part of your brain that is activated. And when it's activated, you thrive because you activate your creativity, your imagination, your motivation, your insight, your awareness. It's where you get those aha moments from. It's where you go, wow, there's the solution to the problem. Why didn't I think of that before? It's where you see opportunities, where you see things that you never saw before. It's where you get that gut feeling about what to do. And when you're using the state, you not only follow that intuition, that gut feeling, but you do it in a really productive way. So these are all the things that you need in your life for you to be the best that you can be. And that makes sense. And people throughout history have talked about this creative state where it's like being in the flow, being in the zone. This is the way it's described. And all these new ideas and new creativity and new opportunities and things that you might call synchronicities or luck, they all start showing up in your life. That's our natural thriving state. And that's the way we're biologically designed to live. However, there's one problem. When you're in a state of stress, fear, worry, anxiety, frustration, you shut that part of your brain down and you go into another part of your brain, which I call your survival brain, that is very, very limited in what its perception is. And you think about it, when you're feeling stressed, worried, afraid, all of those things, what's happening? You're trying to figure stuff out and you're saying to yourself, I'm confused. I don't know what to do. How can I be happy? What do I need to learn? What do I need to do to have goals in my life? And you make all the wrong decisions. You make mistakes. You do things impulsively and reactively. You shout at somebody and you think, even when you're shouting at them, you think, I shouldn't be doing this. This isn't going to help. But we do these things because our brain has put us in a state of survival, of protection. Sometimes it's part of this is the fight flight response, which is it's there to protect us from a threat to our survival. That's all this. Whenever you feel, the key thing is whenever you feel fear, stress, worry, and anxiety, what's happening on a biological level is your brain is telling you there's a threat to your survival and you need to react. Now, there's not a real threat because of the way we've falsely conditioned our brain, if you like, to react or to feel stressed by everything when it's not a threat to our survival. So it's not a real threat, but your brain thinks it is. And therefore it gets you to do the things you need to do to protect yourself from a danger. And only 4 things you can do when you're in this brain state. You can run away. And when we have a problem, what do? We try and distract ourselves, run away from it, or, tell ourselves it's not as bad and we'll fix it later. Or you can stand and fight. You can have that argument. You can try and force the result. You can push hard. The third thing you can do is freeze, and you can just say, oh, I'm depressed. I can't do anything about this. I'm just going to ignore it. And the fourth thing is you can shout out for help. Now, these are all really useful tools to have. They are really useful tools to have if you're faced with an immediate threat. Because then you need to run away, or you need to stand and fight, or you need to freeze like animals do and imagine you're not there, and hopefully the lion won't see you. Or you need to shout out for help. Help, there's a lion attacking me. Help. They're the only 4 things you can do. But you can't manage your life that way. But that's what most people are trying to do. They're in this state and they're only doing those 4 things. And that's what I used to do. They were basically the only 4 things I did, because that's the only 4 things that part of your brain can do. And all of these other things, like knowing that what you really should be doing with your life, how to come up with real solutions, they're all in a part of your brain that you've shut off. So that's what it really comes down to.
I love it. So as we're wrapping up, I know you have a unique take on goal setting. Tell us about that.
How many minutes have we got? Because I'll give you the short version or
Right,
the complete version.
three or four.
Okay, look, if you think about this whole idea of of the laws of nature, that everything is designed to ensure that you're the best that you can be and that you thrive. There are several other laws of nature that are in harmony with this or relate to this. One of them is the law of conservation of energy. Every living thing is trying to conserve its energy, and it's designed to conserve its energy, which means to get the maximum result with the minimum amount of energy that you use. And and this is a biological thing, because imagine in millions of years ago, maybe we couldn't find food for a week. We had to make sure all of our actions conserved our energy and everything about us conserved our energy, so that a week later we could still go and hunt for food. So we're designed to conserve energy. Now, if your brain knows what your ultimate goal is, your goal, that not the goal that you think, but the goal that's really going to make you happy. Imagine if you had a process where your brain said to you, right, I'm going to tell you what your ultimate goal is, and you can write down that goal and work towards it. So you say, well, that's great. So imagine me on my mother's sofa. In my brain, I found some technique and I wrote down, your ultimate goal, the thing that's going to make you happy, is sailing around the world on your own yacht, traveling constantly, learning all about the brain and about this completely new and different biological approach to natural success. And you're going to be sharing it you're going to be creating coaching programs and working with people and really changing lives. And you're going to be teaching this all over the world. Now, if my brain, and of course, that's what I love to do. But if my brain had told me that at the time while I'm lying on my mother's sofa, I would have done 2 things. Firstly, I wouldn't have believed that it was possible. I would have said, sailing? I can't do that. And teaching about what? I don't want to be a teacher. So I wouldn't have believed it was possible. But more importantly, or equally importantly, I wouldn't have known that's what I actually wanted. So I wouldn't know how to get it, and I wouldn't know that that's what I wanted. So what would I have done? I would have questioned it. I would have analyzed it. Or I said, hang on, I'm not sure about that. I need to get some more information. I need to really figure this out as to whether this is the right thing for me to do. What am I doing? I'm not doing the one thing I should be doing, which is getting on and doing the things to make it happen. I'm wasting all of this energy with analysis, questioning, doubt, all of those things, seeking more information. So that's why your brain, there's exceptions, but most of the time it doesn't show you what you really are supposed to have in your life. So the second thing you might say is, well, maybe it just shows me the next 10 steps. So you work out a process, and then you come up with the 10 things you need to do to move you towards your goals. And you look at the list. What do? You look at it and you go, hang on, step number 3, I don't think that would work. And would it really lead to step number 4? And step number 2, I don't even know how to do that. I need to go away and get some more information and really analyze, is this the way to do it? Is this what I want? Is this how you do it? What are you doing? You're wasting all that biological energy again. You're not acting in the law of conservation of energy. So the way your brain works, the way this creative part of your brain works, the way that the part of your brain is designed to ensure that you survive without doubt, without question, it's programmed to do it. It knows how to do it. The way it gets you there is it just shows you the next step. That's the most biologically efficient way to do. It says, do this, you do it, then it shows you the next step. Do that, you do it, then it shows you the next step. And when you get into this, you realize that's why goals don't work, because you're trying to figure out something you can't figure out. Your brain already knows. It knows what you want and it knows how to get you there. Your only job is to do the stuff, do what you need to do. And you can only do that one step at a time by focusing on one step at a time. And this is why the things like mindfulness, and this is what they're all talking about, being in the present, letting go. It's literally just biologically allowing your brain to show you the most efficient way for you to thrive.
So what was the next step your brain told you to take when you're laying on your mom's couch?
I can't really remember, to be honest. I don't think there was one specific step, but I do remember standing in a shop once, and I think fairly soon after I had the opportunity, or somebody had a retail store, and he wanted somebody to help him with the marketing in the back. Well, he didn't actually want someone to help him, but I thought it would be a good idea. I could help him. So I convinced him to employ me on an hourly basis, a few hours a week, just to go in and do some marketing for him and get some money, a fraction of what I've been used to. And even the job is nothing, is way below what, if you like, what I've been used to. But I remember one day just having a bit of a break and going out into the retail store, and there was a man standing there, and he recognized me, and I recognized him sort of. And he said, "Hey, Liam." And I said, "Do I know you?" He said, "Yeah, of course." And he hadn't seen me in 25 years. And he said, "Liam, there's an opportunity to open a business just along from where my business is. It'd be perfect for you," because he knew my business history. "Why don't you do that?" And I said, "Well, one reason, I don't have any money. I've got nothing." But funnily enough, 2 or 3 months later, there I was running that business, set it up from scratch. I don't know where the money came from, other than what you need. What I learned is what you need will arrive when you need it. That's the way your brain is designed to work. It makes sure of it. It's the most biologically efficient way that it's trying to tell you, is to get out of your own way, let me get on with the job, stop being afraid, just focus on doing the next thing I tell you to do.
So, Liam, how can people reach you if they want to get more information or work with you?
Well, everything's on my website, which is liamnaden.com, and I've got a lot of things there. And if I could just mention, if people are listening or watching, what's the next step? All you need to do is focus on the next step. And I've created a next step for people. If this resonates, if they really want to learn a much easier way, a much more productive way to live life without all the stress and problems, I've created what I suggest is, if people are listening, stop your car, get out your email on your phone, and just send an email to course, COURSE, at liamnaden.com, and I'll send you instantly a free mini course that I've created on how to unlock your problem-solving brain, which will show you a way to shift your brain state, so that if you're dealing with a problem, instead of wrestling with it, you literally can shift your brain state and get the answer to the problem. And not just get the answer, but find yourself actually implementing the right steps. It all comes down to this brain thing. So that's just on my website, or flick an email to course@liamnaden.com.
I'm going to go do that right now. Thank you so much for being on the show. Amazing. Hopefully our paths will cross on the ocean one day.
Love to, yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thanks very much for having me, Brad. It's been great.
So that concludes another episode of How to Be Happier for Entrepreneurs. As you know, I'm on a mission to help 1 million people remove these self-limiting beliefs that are keeping them from living the life, having the business and relationships that they want. I can't do it alone. I need your help. So if you like this, please rate it, review it, share it. Anything you do to get the word out would be greatly appreciated. Until next time, love heals all.
Hit subscribe if you don't want to miss out on more life-changing content. And if you're struggling, you don't have to. Go to bradchandler.com/contact. There, you can join the Facebook community of like-minded entrepreneurs, and you'll see a button to schedule your freedom and happiness call. See you on the next episode.